Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Abishai Ba'ashem B'Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops, salutations to all my fellow laborers, doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen nations that look like the heathens, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And this is going to be an episode of TikTok Corner. I may put it up on Critical Race channel as well. But let's just show you the state of, let's just play this. Because they're planning something.
I 100% agree with you. Absolutely, something is coming. And this is going to be a larger scale because they're going to want to try and disinform us any way they can.
One more time.
So it's going to be interesting. I 100% agree with you. Absolutely, something is coming. And this is going to be a larger scale because they're going to want to try and disinform us any way they can. So it's going to be interesting.
All right, so what you have to understand is that there was a particular deadline that wasn't reached yesterday. So anything could happen between now and this fall, and it is not looking good. It is not looking good at all. As a matter of fact, let me get, because these people clearly are not, the dumb dogs, man. They're not fit to rule. Let me grab that scripture. All right. And use it within this context. This is Psalms and I think it's 56 and 10. All right. As far as leaders, see, we have watchmen that watch over Israel. All right. And the true watchmen are the men of the Lord, that do the work of Yahweh Ba'ashem Abishai diligently, day in and day out, without interruption. But, the wicked, their watchmen are not wise at all. And that's because the Lord has taken any wisdom from them. Wisdom is gone from Teman. All right. But this is Isaiah 56 and 10. And it says, his watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. All right. So they're not really warning the people. I mean, when you look at the leaders of the other nations, they're telling their people to prepare and, and they're giving them food and weapons and shelter and all these, just telling them other things to come. A lot of the leaders of the other nations. But when you're looking at the West, and it's they're not really warning that people. I mean, they did put out this little video that was shared, for New Yorkers, for the people in the state of New York, mainly the people in the city of New York, all right, about preparing for a nuclear situation, which really wouldn't help them. If a nuclear bomb was to go off in New York, finding your way to the center of a large building is not going to help you at all. All right, not at all. Okay. But just to show you that these people aren't wise, that they don't make good decisions, they're evil to themselves. They hurt themselves with their own policy. Let me find this video. Here we go.
We're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars to the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia. Explain that. And it can't be explained. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%. Whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. Now, this has been going on for decades, but I have to bring it up. It's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayers.
So, America is constantly doing things that screws over its own people. It's literally what I'm trying to tell you. All right. And gets them further into debt and further into conflict, even with their own contention, even with their own allies. let's go to another video. This one, there's a lot of videos in here, so Salakia. Here's this one.
Europe is going to go through a drastic leadership change by winter. Putin has a friend he can rely on, and that friend is winter. That same winter that defeated Napoleon, and the same winter during World War II that took out the Nazis. But how exactly does this affect the leadership of EU? Let me show you. This is the pipeline for Nord Stream 1 and 2.
Let me show you
Putin
something.
holds the power to cut this off at any moment noticed. When there's no more natural gas running towards Germany, we are cut off for the winter. And the EU is going to face a real recession. Because of low supply and high demand, gas prices will go up. There will be industrial cutbacks and shutdowns, which leads to unemployment. And then high inflation and a larger global recession. Ukraine is already 100% backed up by the United States and NATO, with a lot of NATO troops all surrounding the region. But what does this mean for all the countries included that are not benefiting from all of this like the way the United States and Russia are? And we already saw a regime change for the very first time in 20 years going on in Sri Lanka. And make no mistake that will happen in Europe too. Less than 2 weeks ago we saw Boris Johnson step down, and the Italian Prime Minister also sent in his resignation. Do not be surprised if you see any of these leaders starting to switch. That includes the newly appointed German Chancellor, or even the French President Macron. Sometimes you have to zoom out of what's happening on the battlefield and how it's affecting the region. Because in this case, Putin holds all the cards. Europe is going to go through
You see that? So Putin's holding all the cards. So American policy is driving itself into destruction because they're surrounded, but yet they won't have the energy to fuel those war machines that they have surrounding Russia, which is going to place all the cards in Russia's hands, which you can clearly see why why the nations and allies of America are beginning to turn, and why Israel is getting so desperate to where they want to just go ahead and attack Iran now, which is more than likely what's going to kick this whole thing off, because it clearly, the scripture does say the least of the flock shall draw them out. But let me grab this scripture. All right, because here comes America with all their policy, but their policy is causing they were making money, but they're causing everyone else to go broke and have uprisings and things like that in their countries, trying to follow the American lead. All right, because see, America has everyone using the American dollar has the ability, don't have the ability to just print more money when they need it. All right, or just keep the value upon the money, because once the money becomes worthless outside of America, it's just completely worthless. Within the borders of America, and they just print more money and the prices of everything goes up, but they still stay functioning. All the people who are joined unto them, their countries are suffering because the dollar is becoming worthless and no one wants to use it and they can't use it. And they end up screwing over their people. And you've seen what happened in Sri Lanka and all these other places, Rome and Armenia, down in South America. But this is Daniel 8:25, and it reads, "And through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many." Because he's screaming that he's bringing peace by doing all this, by surrounding and posturing for war. All right? "He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand," because eventually this third world war is going to kick off. All right, and in doing so, it's going to make things really bad. Jacob's trouble is going to go full blown, because it's already in its beginning stages. And Jacob's trouble is everyone's trouble. All right, and it's going to get so bad to where the Lord's going to intervene, and then it's game over. All right, it is completely game over. Let me go back. It was another video I had in mind, because this system is just. It's failing, man. All right? As a matter of fact, let me grab another scripture before I find that last video. This is, because this TikTok is a demon, man. It's a curse and a blessing, to be honest with you. Because it's so much information, I think that's why they want to get rid of it. It's probably doing more damage than, because they got YouTube pretty much on. Well, YouTube is still hurting them too, but they can still control certain things. They don't have as much control over the TikTok. That's why they want to get rid of it. All right. And American policy, it hurt. They end up hurting themselves and hurting their own people. All right, this is Sirach 20:9. It says, there is a sinner that have good success in evil things, and there is gain that turneth into loss. So when you're looking at like that's what's happening now. When you look at the war plan, the video we just shown, their gain is turning into loss, man. All right, because they're losing allies and they're making their allies suffer, you know, horrendously. Okay, and the process, you know, people keep believing in this democratic process. You know, there's democracy grenade that they want to hold on to so badly, because remember, wherever democracy is comes great violence. Democracy comes with great violence, the destruction of the family, the destruction of order, the demasculation of men and the masculation of women. All right. Right, the feminization of men, emasculation of women, you know, just degenerate children, just a degenerate this society with a bunch of confusions and pronouns and all kind of madness. That's another reason why these nations were fighting so hard to keep, you know, democracy grenade from coming to their country. All right, because you know it's funny how these Americans will brag about. You know, they all over YouTube, there is documentary after documentary about soldiers that did all these great things and killed all these people. But then, but the conflict itself was an illegal conflict. The conflict was basically invasion from America, or you know, or its constituents, or by some proxy war. And then they send in someone, you know, some assassin, and you know, some sniper, some assassin. And label him a hero, but he's in a land where people are just trying to defend their own home and defend their own way of life. And simply because America wanted, you know, the resources or some sort of agreement with these people, and they didn't want to agree, this is what happens. You know, documentary after documentary, and they're giving medals to these soldiers for going into someone else's house and basically killing them, for trespassing and murdering someone in their own home, and then make the trespasser the hero. This is what America does. I mean, it just is what it is. A lot of you people with medals and you know, and all bragging about your Marine Corps this, your Force Recon that, your Navy SEAL this, you should really just be ashamed of yourself. You should be embarrassed. But wickedness, pride of, they don't see it like that. You know, I even had a Jewish doctor once tell me that they stole America fair and square. Those were her very words, that we stole it fair and square. I was like, God damn. Well, you know what? Keep that energy, you know, when the Lord reverses it. Keep that energy when Manifest Destiny Part 2 comes. They didn't read the fine print. All right. And like I said, the system is breaking down. Let's let this same little blonde chick who believes in the system, believes in voting in person is going to change anything, but it just goes to show you that the system is broken.
Put $500 in an envelope and mail it to yourself. If you don't have the guts to do that, because you don't have the confidence that it'll come back to you, make sure you vote in person in November.
Again.
Put $500 in an envelope and mail it to yourself. If you don't have the guts to do that, because you don't have the confidence that it'll come back to you, make sure you vote in person in November.
One more time.
Put $500 in an envelope and mail it to yourself. If you don't have the guts to do that, because you don't have the confidence that it'll come back to you, make sure you vote in person in November.
Now, this is so powerful, because what that's showing you with that American eagle has failed. The system is broken. It does not work. Let's get one last scripture. This is
Put 500.
Sirach 14. Yeah, Sirach 14:5. This is one of my favorite scriptures, because this fits Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, more than anything else at this point. All right. He that is evil, this is Sirach 14 or Ecclesiasticus 14:5, and it reads, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he do good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. All right. So everything he's done is going to backfire on him. He's exposed and shame is beginning to cover him. As a matter of fact, let's grab that. I said that was the last one, but one more. This is Isaiah 14 and 11, I believe. Yeah, thy pomp, that pompous, arrogant attitude. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, all right, to the ground. And the noise of thy vows and worms, and the worm is spread over thee. Worms represent a state of death, of decay, all right. The worms is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. It's over, all right. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abshai, Bashim Rakakudash, Wa Ababa Bal, Kwam Yasharala Shalom.